Email is still one of the very best ways of communicating, and especially if that person is waiting for your email and wanting to receive your email. And I get 80–90% open rates, sometimes up to 100% open rates on my emails. And in this video, all you need to do is to take 13 minutes and you will find out what I'm doing. I'm going to give you 8 massive tips to help you with your email marketing campaigns and get them to work, to be much more effective and much more efficient. But before I do that, remember to subscribe. Also hit the little bell button after subscribe and then you will be notified of new videos. So, email marketing tip number 1 is leave the reader richer. Leave your email subscriber richer for having read the email. If all you are doing is trying to upsell, I hate that word, selling in dentistry, but it gets used. If all you're trying to do is to upsell to the next level, if all you're trying to do is to get more out of that subscriber, then you will lose that subscriber. That customer, that subscriber is not richer for having read the email. So leave a subscriber richer for having read the email, for having received the email. So answer their questions. Do dental implants hurt? How much do dental implants cost? Different ways to make dental implants more affordable. How to know how many dental implants you might need. What are the alternatives to dental implants? And so on and so forth. So leave the customer richer for having read that email. The tip number 2 is to use humor. You know, if we use humor, it makes us more personable. It makes us seem more friendly. So use humor if it's right for you. So do what you can to bring a little bit of humor into your emails. I quite often update my Facebook profile, and it's very rarely a picture of me just being normal. So just use a bit of humor generally in all of your marketing, but emails, humor can work really well. Number 3 is to represent your brand, and that's brand identity. So have your brand clearly identifiable with your colors and logo and strapline and the fonts that you use, and lay your emails out with a nice template as a wrapper around your email with the body content in the middle, and make sure that your email is on brand from a design and recognizable point of view, but also on brand as in what does your brand represent. So if your brand is about being personable, being absolutely in the zone with that patient at that time, don't use big generic terms like we can do this, we can do this. If it's about being personable, say, I can do this for you. Make sure that email comes from an individual at the practice, not the group. And it really is about understanding what your brand is and represent your brand in your emails. So ask yourself, what does my brand represent? Is it fun? Is it engagement? Is it a sense of place? Is it being looked after? Is it relaxing? What is it? What does your brand represent? And then ask yourself, how could you represent that in emails? Tip number 4 is to drive people to the next stage in their decision-making process. So remember our trackers, hunters, and explorers. So explorers are just looking for broad answers to general dental problems. Help them understand, well, if you want to replace missing teeth, you could look at, here are your options. And for the hunters, once you've said here are your options, you could say, well, there's implants, there's bridges, there are dentures. How can we drive them to the next stage? Perhaps you have a free consultation. Perhaps you have a refund of initial assessment. Perhaps you have a discounted online offer. So drive those hunters to the next stage. For the trackers, the people that have been on your website, what can we do to drive them to the next stage to actually make an appointment? So use email to inform and to educate, leave the person richer, but also at the end of that email, drive that person to the next stage in the decision-making process, or the next stage of what we call that conversion funnel, where we're dropping as many people in at the top and we're converting them down into your practice down at the bottom here. The next tip is to end emails with a question, because we always answer questions, don't we? I mean, if I said something like, what's the color of your front door? What's your date of birth? Who is the President of America? you are automatically answering those questions. You see, I have control of your mind. We have to answer a question. When something's phrased as questions, we have an overriding sense we automatically answer it in our brain. So if you end an email with a question, you are much more likely to get a response. So end an email with a question something like, is that what you were thinking? Does that fit with your plans? Does that answer your questions? So end an email with a question. Tip number 6. It's number 7. Sorry, no, 6. It isn't. It's number 6. I'm losing track. Tip number 6 is send your emails out in a determined or predetermined series, in a predetermined gap between each email. And that gap should be the Fibonacci sequence. Go and look it up. It is fabulous. So Fibonacci is taken from the Fibonacci series of numbers, and the Fibonacci series of numbers it comes into play with the golden ratio, the golden proportion. And it's mathematically, this is where maths comes into the beauty of nature. So if I look at the ratio of this part of my finger to this part of my finger, to this part of my finger, the gap will increase by the golden proportion. If we look at our heart rate, diastole and systole, the gap between is the golden proportion. The golden proportion is used in art, it's used, used in nature. But if we look at nature, the way snail shells unspiral, the way the seeds go in a sunflower, it's all relating to this mathematically beautiful series of numbers called the Fibonacci sequence. And the Fibonacci sequence is very easy to work out. You simply take the first number, 1, and add it to the next number. Well, there was no previous number was 0, so it's 1. So the sequence is 1, 1. Now we add first to the next, which is 2. So now we have the series of 1, 1, 2. We now add 1 and 2, so we get 3. We now add 2 and 3, so we get 5. We now add 3 and 5, so we get 8. We now add 5 and 8, so we get 13, and so on and so on. So what happens is we start with emails that start quite close together. Day 1, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, day 8, day 13. So the emails get further and further apart the longer that person stays within that email sequence. That means that those emails don't become bombarding people. They don't feel like they're getting those emails too often. And it just feels a far more natural series or gap between each emails to send emails out. So use the Fibonacci sequence of numbers as the gap between your emails. Tip number 7. How do we put those gaps into those emails? Have we got to sit there and every time someone has downloaded a guide, just remember when to send them an email? No, of course not. We use automation. So use AWeber. AWeber is my preferred option, and I will put a link to AWeber in the comments below or in the description of this video. So use AWeber, and using AWeber is an email management system. It's really affordable, and it means that we can sequence emails at predetermined gaps. AWeber is also really good at making sure that a person receives the right email at the right time. So we can have different series of emails that go out depending on what that person is interested in. And we know what that person is interested in because they click on different links within emails. So for example, we might send someone an email about replacing missing teeth. So they get their series of emails, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, day 8, and so on. And within those emails, we may say, did you know ways to replace missing teeth could be dental implants, dental bridges, or dentures? Click here to find out more. Now when they click on dental implants, for example, it bounces them off to your website where they can find out more about dental implants. But because we've managed this email in AWeber, we add a tag to that subscriber which says implants. That then goes, woo, and there's another series of emails specifically about implants. If they clicked on the dental bridges link in this original email about replacing missing teeth, boing, off we go to your website where they look at more about dental bridges. But it adds a tag and we start to get a sequence of emails that goes out about dental bridges. So using tags and AWeber means you can automate your emails and send the right email at the right time to the right person. And it makes the whole system, especially if you're leaving the person richer, you're not trying to sell anything to them, we're leaving the patient richer for having read them, it means your emails get read. And I looked this up the other day because a client asked me, a 125% open rate. Yes, we get a higher open rate than the number of emails are sent because people go back to the emails and read them again. So if you get email marketing right, you can get a really good open rate. And my last tip number 8, is remember, if you are in the EU, oh, don't talk to me about Brexit, GDPR. So if we do business in the EU, we have to comply with the General Data Protection Regulations. We have to ensure that patients do 2 things primarily. That firstly, they know that their data is going to be collected and stored. We have to ask their permission to do that. If they don't give us permission, then we can't store it. And secondly, would they like to receive ongoing marketing emails? Now, if you say to someone, do you want to receive marketing emails? They're going to say, If you say to someone, and this has been proven as well, you give them 2 options. You give them a yes and a no. You say, would you like to receive further communication from us, which may involve special offers, deals and discounts? Yes. Or no, I accept, I may miss out. If you put that on your opt-in for marketing, you will find that the majority of people, so we're looking at 80-90% of people, will click on yes, they are happy to receive marketing emails. And it's because we've put a no and told them what the likely outcome will be from no. So you can put yes, opt me in, no, I accept, I may miss out. We're telling people they're going to miss out if they don't opt in. If they don't click the yes button, we cannot send them any follow-up emails. We have to comply with GDPR. So there you go. I hope you have found that useful. As ever, please do subscribe. Take a look at the other videos in the series, and I will see you soon.